Now, as far as the reader capabilities go of the MatePad Paper, it supports a multitude of formats, so that's okay, but mostly your EPUBs and your PDFs, that's going to work fine. So that's something that I'm going to be focusing here in this one. The way this is organized, the bookshelf and all of this stuff, for example, I really would love to be able to get rid of this one, but I can't. So there is no way that you can actually get rid of any suggestions or anything that you've done and the connection between the bookstore and the bookshelf. And if you're never going to use a bookstore, which high likelihood is that you probably will not, because the Huawei's bookstore, like why would you be limited to that? I prefer my device to be my device, and I do not like reminders of manufacturers kind of pushing and forcing things on me. Okay, fine if that's a default option, but I can't get rid of this. I would really much prefer it that I just have my folders in my bookshelves and not forced things that I don't want there. And even if you want to go to manage all, there's no control. I can only control my stuff, my folders and my bookshelves and everything, my categories that I've made, but that's pretty much it. Everything else is, yeah, you can sort your books and that's that, but there's absolutely no way to control what to actually get rid of these things. And at some point you will see more, sometimes just one. It really depends on how do you use it, and if you accidentally click on something in the bookstore, then more stuff is actually going to appear. Bookstore is just, let's show it, it's like, I don't know, it's a bookstore. But anyway, you can't get rid of that, and it would be nice actually to just get rid of the bookstore thing. Can I? And I cannot get rid of it. So that's kind of the thing. And here we go. Here's the one that I really wanted to kind of I was hoping that you were going to be able to see it. When I was talking about the layout of the bookshelf that I really find annoying, initially you saw only one, right? That thing changes all the time. So for example, today I am getting all of these things and I can't hide them, I can't minimize them, and it's all just garbled up, and I didn't access anything, I didn't choose any of these things. This is just being forced upon me in my bookshelf, and I have no options of actually hiding the content. 1, 2, 3, 3/4 of the available content is useless garbage that I'm not interested in, that I didn't ask for, and is actually forced upon me, and only 1/4 here is there. And that is something that I really don't like. When a manufacturer is trying to artificially force things onto you without giving you an option to actually hide these things, to control them. We've paid good money for this device, and it needs to be my device, not something that you're just pushing, especially not this kind of garbage, because it's completely pointless and useless. And I really passionately dislike that. Now, as far as the library itself, you can add your categories, you can name your categories, and then you can organize your files and move them around in categories. The behavior is basically long press to get into your selection process, and then at the bottom you have your operations, which is delete, move, download, or share. So those are the things that you can do. Sharing can, I believe, be done. No, actually you can't share it. I think you can only share it via their Huawei share thing, whatever it's called. What's it called? Let's see. Huawei share. Yeah, only with that you can share it, but that Huawei share only works with other Huawei devices. So effectively, you gotta do it in a slightly different way. So you are able to share the file itself when you're out of the bookshelf thing, but you can't share it while you're in the bookshelf thing, for example, in an email or anything like that, which I find kind of bizarre. So the overall bookshelf functionality is exceptionally limited. I don't like the locking in thing, and it's a distraction, and it deters me from the overall experience and the impression that this is actually my device. How does it work with the PDF documents? Let's do PDF documents first. Well, first of all, it is fairly okay at handling really large documents. It has like 290 something pages. It's fairly snappy how it actually deals with it. Switching between pages is fairly okay, but you can also use the plus and minus buttons to flip between pages. One of the things to be aware of is that the device does have an accelerometer, so you can actually flip it around and just turn it, and it will flip for ambidextrous use, so right-handed or left-handed or whatever you prefer. Where you prefer to have this wide side, that's actually fine, and the pen can flip around comfortably and be held this way or that way. So if you are left-handed and that's how you want to use it, you absolutely can do that, and it's very, very easy, and the device does it automatically. Tap in the middle as standard and it will eventually, kind of slow, show the menu. And in the menu you have two main kind of toolbars. The bottom toolbar will give you a table of contents from which you can actually go through here. You can navigate between contents, bookmarks, and annotations. The bookmarks are added only through the menu, so you don't have a shortcut, for example, in here or anything like that. Nope, bookmark is a two-step process. So if you want to bookmark a page, you tap on the middle, you wait, and then you bookmark it there, and then it appears that it's bookmarked. And also once a bookmark is added, it will be listed in here as well, and then you can just navigate to that page. Similarly, you are allowed to take notes in your document via the pen. By default, that's not going to work. You have to enable the scribble mode. So you have to again tap on the middle, you have to tap the scribbling icon and make annotations with the stylus. So this is my note. You know, that's pretty much it, and that works okay. And once you are in the annotation mode, the top panel basically changes to that mode, and you have your pen modes here. So you can have a pencil, ballpoint pen, marker, thin, rough, very rough, black, white, and gray. So those are the options that you have at your disposal. And the double tap also works on the pen to switch between the pen and the eraser. You can also choose between range erase or track erase. So the track erase is basically like a stroke eraser, right? And if we just go back here to range erase, you just simply range erase and then you're done. And then you are done here and you write again. Okay, so that's very, very straightforward, and you can outline things. And let me just see the marker. I haven't tried that, if the marker is transparent. So can I actually use it maybe as a gray marker to underline or highlight some of the things? Kinda, sorta, but not really. So it's not really meant to be a highlight eraser. One thing that I do miss as far as the erasing goes is the option to have a stroke eraser, right? Not an area eraser and not a range eraser, but an actual stroke eraser that I could simply just go like this and delete those strokes. Once you're done with your annotations and things like that, you can either hit the back button or the close. The annotations that you make will present themselves here, and then you can just kind of go through them and they can be exported. So like this, you can select it and then you can export it as files docs. So that's as far as the annotations goes. Now, one of the major limitations is that you cannot press and hold and make a selection, either with a pen or with finger, it doesn't matter. In PDFs, you do not have that functionality of actually selecting text and underlining it and adding annotations that way or something like that. So that's something that for me is a big issue and a big kind of a turn off, because I use that quite a lot. However, if your main thing is that you want to just annotate and write on top of a document, then that's fine. So in that regards, it has similar limitations like the Remarkable 2 does. And it's very, very far away from what the Boox Neo Reader offers you to do with the PDF documents. Now back to the orientation thing. So you've noticed that I was talking about the auto orientation left and right, and that's definitely there. However, you can also use it in landscape. For that, you have these kind of orientation things in the bottom, and you can lock it to either portrait or landscape. So you do have a landscape mode. It works up and down, so you can still flip it around any way that you want, which is okay. But as soon as you flip it to a horizontal mode, the pages are gone, and now you only have an endless scroll to kind of work with. That to me is a lazy way of doing it. It's fine that you have that as an option, but scrolling on an e-ink screen is not something that you want to be doing, and not implementing a proper way, which would be page flip, and then it actually goes down to where the page was cut off, and then you flip to the next page, like Supernote, for example, the proper way of doing things, and Kindle and all of these other devices. Instead, they went for the cheapest one, which is in landscape you only have a scroll mode. So that's something that I really don't like at all. As far as added functionalities go, we have the formatting option, which is really weird because it's like, that's I think cropping. So they have scissors. Very, very unintuitive. Cropping is a rectangle with bolded corners. That's a unified icon for cropping, so not the scissors. Scissors is a cut functionality. You're not cutting anything, you're cropping the page. And cropping of the page is pretty much standard. It can't use a locked aspect ratio, and I'm still dumbfounded that even Boox devices don't have that. It's like, why don't we have a real little lock button here to lock this croppable area to the aspect ratio of the screen, so that you know what you are actually cropping and what you'll see on the screen? Instead, if I do this, I'm not going to see that. I'm going to see that and everything else cut out. So this is a really weird kind of a thing, and I don't like it, to be quite honest. So technically, yeah, you can. It will hold the format itself, which is fine. But as soon as you go into landscape mode, it's going to be gone. And also, you can't do the important bit, which is, for example, let's say that I maybe wanted to have a format like this. And then go to the next page. Yeah, but where's the rest of the page? Well, it's cut out. And yeah, so yeah, that's the functionality that you do have. Extremely limited, and I really don't like how it goes. Now, where MatePad Paper platform does redeem itself in as far as PDFs goes is that it has a reflow option, and that's this icon here. So if I tap the reflow option, it will reflow the PDF, and then you can actually have additional type of control, and then you can change the format size and some other things as well. And it tries to do a good job between retaining the images and the organization of the overall PDF. And as far as PDF reflowing goes, it's actually quite a bit more efficient than the Neo Reader is on the Boox platform. So that's something that's definitely good. And you can actually now change your formatting in many different ways, which is absolutely excellent, and the device is super responsive as far as that goes. You can align automatically, you can justify, you can align to left, you can do pretty much control the boldening, how much boldening you want or not. And you have also the spacing here as a control. So this is pretty much great, because then it works nicely, right? So that's definitely a cool thing. Now, another thing that you have is that when you're in reflow mode, you have another icon here, which is simultaneous translation. When you go into simultaneous translation, then it actually goes into a 2-page format, where on the left-hand side, you have your original document, and here it is now attempting to detect and translate automatically. And this is something that definitely works. You can't navigate the translation itself, but it will automatically translate as you are navigating the pages here. And the formatting is still active, and you can definitely kind of make it, let's say, smaller, a bit more of a emboldening here. Let's embolden it once and make it maybe okay, 14 is as low as we can get. So this is a really good option, and it works very nicely. I can't do any formatting or any changes on the translation itself, so you can go through all of this, and then you can choose between several different languages by tapping here, and then you have quite a few languages here. I'm going to just gonna go through a few here so that you can see, then you can pause and see if the language that you are looking for is listed here or not. Where the problem arises is when the reflow doesn't work. So let's say open the radiation tolerance here of the tardigrade, and we go reflow, and it's gonna work, and it's gonna give you some chapters and all of these kinds of things. It's gonna get a little weird here and there. So not all documents are gonna work properly. So I just show you first the example of one that worked very nicely, then the second one which functioned but wasn't really the happiest of them all. And then you have examples where you actually go into a document and you try a reflow and absolutely nothing happens. Right? No matter how long you wait, you can still interact with the document. And this is a normal document. You're supposed to be able to kind of navigate and do these things with the document, but nope, you can't reflow it. And that kind of inconsistency is a problem. So if the reflow worked bang on for like 90% of the documents out there, and then only some were like not fitting and not working as you would expect them to, then sure, the lack of the formatting capabilities would be excusable. But this is not the case. Actually, it's a bit of a hit and miss, which documents will be reflowable, which will not be reflowable, and what you'll be able to do and what you won't be able to do. And then you are stuck with that super rudimentary functionality of the cut/crop, which is slightly better than nothing. And another serious limitation with using the PDF reflow is that you no longer can mark up the documents at all, and you still can't select the text here or do anything with it. The EPUBs are a similar functionality, so you can go like this with the page as well, and you can tap left and right, unless you're in an image heavy type of a document, in which case you're gonna go and end up in a really weird situation, which is going to be, if you tap on an image, it will just go zoom onto the image itself. So in this case, only if I swipe will I be able to go to the next page. If I continue tapping, I'm going to be stuck in this infernal loop, which really isn't fun at all. Something to definitely be aware of. Oh, and we've crashed. Okay, I haven't experienced that very often, so he just crashed for whatever reason. Let's see. Okay, that was not often. Whoa, and again. Okay, don't know what's going on here, but definitely some stability issues with more demanding type of EPUB documents. As far as the options go, well, it's a little bit different on an EPUB. On an EPUB, you can just immediately do your thing. So you can highlight, you can erase, everything kind of works the same. So the pen works exactly in the same way, and you can just choose which type of a pen you want to use, and you can annotate like this, right? So that's my annotation, that works. So on EPUB you can do that. Now as far as bookmarking goes, again, it's a two-step kind of a thing. So you gotta press the menu and then bookmark. However, in an EPUB, we automatically are in that same kind of format like you are in PDF reflow mode, which means now we have the formatting capabilities, so you can have the same exact adjustments like we did in there. And you also have the translate mode, which again works in the same exact way. And also you can choose landscape. Again, scrolling is the only option, I believe, in landscape. And also you have your bookmarks, except that you have annotations, and then you have something called tot. And what is a tot? Well, a tot is basically you press and hold, and then It's going to be, oh no, this is so annoying. But with the finger you can somehow, it's really not that intuitive, select certain words and things like that. This at best is in alpha stage. This doesn't really function the way it should and the way it normally functions in other things, but when it does, you can have long press and select, and then you can have mark that as a thought, you can underline it like a selection, or you can translate a certain selection. So that is a cool thing, and it's like, oh, this is my thought, and my thought, I can just say like, this is my thought about that thought, right? And let's see if he's going to be able to figure it out. This is my thought about that thought. Handwriting to text recognition on this device is exceptionally good. So you could see that I went like aside and correcting and things like that. Nope, it doesn't care. It's just gonna do it properly, and then I can just simply do like this and then send. Oh, you click on send so to add it, and once that's actually added, you can tap on it and it will actually tell you that. And you can of course go back into digest, I guess, or the contents of the document, and then in your thoughts it will be there. So the thought about this kind of approach is quite good, but the functionality of selecting these the text is not that great. Now, as far as added menus go, you have different menus depending on where you are. In an EPUB you have search options, you have disable handwriting options, and you have reading settings. When you disable search options, this works as the pen works as a touch, and then it's much easier to actually select the text. So as far as reading settings, you have all of these settings, such as add to a bookshelf, data use reminder, keep reading reminders, preferred language that you want to read in, volume buttons as turn pages, use full screen, reward reminders, and some other kind of stuff as well. And not all translate exactly to the PDFs as well. So when I go to a PDF here, and I go to this one, you can't search, you can't do a word search on a PDF that's not word reflowed. And this is a normal PDF, this is not images, this is a text-based PDF. So that's a huge limitation. So these are the reading settings that you actually have for a PDF versus what you had on the EPUB and those things. And does it change when I reflow? So if I reflow and now it's technically an EPUB, do I get, nope, I still can't do a search, even though I reflowed it. Bizarre. And also getting the documents into the platform, unless you're on Huawei platform where you can use Huawei Share, which is supposed to be extremely pleasant, but I don't have a Huawei phone, I don't have a Huawei laptop, nor do I intend to get one. So integration of this device outside of a Huawei ecosystem is extremely limited. There's no app for a regular Android, there's no web interface on their web page, there's no cloud, there's nothing. You basically are either Huawei or kind of Stone Age, and we're talking about just plug in a cable and that's about it. That's all you can do. And alternatively, you can use your browser to go to your Google Drive or OneDrive or whatever you may be, like Dropbox, and then transfer files that way onto the device. So again, for the price point, and when you're looking at it against the competition and the ecosystems of the competition, this is not enough. As you've probably noticed, the writing performance, not the comfort, but the actual performance, the latency of writing on MatePad Paper is quite good, actually amongst the best of the best category here. So I fired up the Desta test, and the MatePad Paper did not disappoint with the really fast latency, only 39.59 milliseconds, which places it in the top 10 category. So it's not in the Remarkable 2 and the Supernote category of under sub 30 millisecond writing latency, but it is in the sub 40 latency category, which makes it one of the fastest on the market. And that writing latency combined with the writing comfort and how sensitive the pen is and how well balanced and the surface of the screen actually is, all of that combined really offers a very good writing experience on the MatePad Paper. Now we get to the writing capabilities and functionalities of the MatePad Paper, and this is a strong point for this device. So you go to the notes and you can add a quick note, you can add a folder, and then you can organize your notes in folders or projects or something like that. Completely unlike what you have on the bookshelf, I don't have any garbage here, and I can just go between pages of my notebooks and how they are organized. One of the really important things is that yes, you can search your handwritten notes and it works really well. So let me just type in pen, for example, and first of all, it's unbelievably fast, and second of all, it will just tell you this is the document you're in, and are you looking for page 1, page 2, page 3, where do you want it, and then it actually finds some more here as well. Already here, like from the get-go, the management and the organization and how usable the notes are, it's a world of difference when compared to how it handles documents and what you can do with the document. Additional functionalities is you can select notes, you can sort them, you can speech to text. I'm not going to show it because this is a paid plan, or you have to use a free trial. So any kind of speech to text conversion is a limitation on the whole device, unless you actually download, let's say, an APK for a Gboard, in which case it will bypass that limitation. Then you'll be using Google's speech to text conversion. But here I am checking out the built-in stuff. So if you want speech to text conversion, that is a paid functionality on the Huawei MatePad Paper. Notes themselves, well, you can just add a quick note. You can rename it here, and you have undo, redo, you have plus, which is new page, import pages, import PDF into here, and then actually as pages that you can write on top of, which is a very nice thing as well. This is your notebook overview that you can slide between, and then you have also bookmarks or thumbnails between pages. As far as additional options go, this is where you will find handwriting to text, clear page, delete page, share, export, print, and add a lock. As far as the toolbar itself goes, we have our pen tools, we have our marker tools or highlighter tools, then we have our eraser with different functionalities, and you have clear strokes, which is actually nice in here. We have our selection, images, text boxes. You have an option to add a text box. You have an option to add an image into the notebook. This little grid thing here is basically adding a template. You can't add your custom templates, so that's a little bit weird, but you can import a PDF page. So maybe you could do it like that. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't understand fully why wouldn't they allow you to actually add your own custom templates. That's kind of weird. That being said, you do have these basic plans and work and education categories, and you can slide left and right on all of them and actually find quite a lot. This is a very nice range of built-in templates. Then you have add a page, delete the page, and then you have a little microphone. The microphone thing is basically adding your voice notes. So for example, I can just add a microphone here, and it's automatically going to start recording, and then I can say like, this is my tag. I'm gonna add a tag here, and this is the start of the meeting, for example, and then stuff is happening, yada yada, blah blah blah, before we break for lunch. And then you hit another tag, then you kind of move that tag over here, and then you say like, okay, so break for lunch, and then you hit a stop button here. And now with this recording, once it's actually kind of stopped, so if it is stopped, this recording becomes an integral part of this notebook, right? Not per page or anything like that. It's for the entire notebook. You can convert it to text. You can, slide it. You can play it whenever you want. But more importantly, you can just use this tag system, and then you can just say like, okay, so this is where we were taking our notes. And it's like, okay, break for lunch. So and then you hit another tag. Then you kind of move that tag over here. And then you say like, okay, so break for lunch. And then you hit a... Okay, so that's where I stopped the recording. And you can see while I was writing, you don't hear anything. You just hear a little bit of a kind of tapping when I tap the pen on this. So it actually is able to do this quite nicely. And then you can continue your recording if you wanted to. So now I just tapped on the same recording and I'm continuing my recording, and I can add another tag, press and hold, and then you can move it over here and continue. Well, I erase. Continue taking notes. Blah blah blah. So it's a very, very good way of doing things, and I really do like it. One thing that I can't test, because I don't want to subscribe and I don't want a subscription model to convert this, but it's safe to assume that when you have a subscription for this paid plan, you will be able to convert these audio recordings or audio memos during your note taking and export that as a text file and have it as such. One thing to kind of keep in mind is that unlike with other notebook systems, you can't just swipe to add a new page. You have to add the plus button to add a new page. But once you do have more pages, you can navigate between them. Let's see how does it handle a large document with a lot of stuff and converting it to handwriting to text, just to kind of see like first couple of lines how it handles these things, how long does it take to do this, and very, very fast. So writing to text started, the better you lead. That should be level, but I don't blame it. You can see how scribbled it is. Switching to get, so he didn't get all of this. Front light is set at 30% and Wi-Fi is on. Pen battery is also at loot or 100%. So we will be testing the battery performance as well. There are no background tasks going on, so everything is set to normal. The writing feel is definitely not paper-like, but it's actually quite nice, and the performance is also very much acceptable. I mean, you could have figured it out that it's acceptable, but okay. What does bother me is that the dance is not perfectly flat, but above all, it's the front light. So what I meant was that the device is not perfectly flat. That kind of jiggly thing that was really bothering me when I was going through all of this. It's just converting this current page, and then I can copy text to a text page or whatever, and then insert here as well as a text if you wanted to. So you can't really do handwriting to text the entire document from here. However, you do have the functionality of going to share, and then in share you can share as an image or a set of images or a PDF for all of the pages as a PDF. But you also have an option to convert handwriting to text of all the entire notebook and send that as a text file or as a document file. So I'm going to export both of those, and then we're going to see how that looks like. You gotta love it when it's exporting 300%. I guess it's gonna get to 400% as well. Yep, it's exporting 400%, 1000%, 1100%. Excellent. So if we go to email, it's a text file. Okay, and for whatever reason, when I wanted to export as a doc file, now it's opening the WPS Office, which is all in Chinese. Well, it's been over a minute and a half now, and maybe eventually it will do something, but I'm not gonna wait for it because this is just dumb. Let's just export as a doc and see if we can just save it as a file without it opening it automatically. Can I just save that? Okay, so he just again exported and opened up in WPS, but this time he opened it up like this. You get an image and a translation or a conversion as well. So that's what it does when it exports a document file. The writing experience is very, very nice. Right? Is it paper-like? I would not characterize it as such. However, it is definitely nothing like glass-like or anything like that. It is on a very, very nice side of things, but it does its own thing. Sort of like Supernote does its own thing. So does the MatePad Paper. It does its own little thing. The only nibble is that I'm not used to, and I'm not a fan of hard pens such as metal pens. However, if you are used to them and that's what you prefer, then you won't have any issues at all. So overall, the performance and the functionalities and everything as far as note-taking goes is very, very, very tight. It's really well encompassed, well thought out, and it's really good on the MatePad Paper. And that leads me to believe that if you want to consider this as a device, the note-taking capabilities are its strongest point. Can you do it auto orientation? Yes, it can do it like this. So you can do it in a left-handed way. So if you're left-handed, of course, you can just do it like this and then write that way as well, if you want to. What I can't find out, and I have tried to find out, is there like a support for landscape? I was unable to find it if it is there. Printing directly from here, let's see if it can find my printer. Yes, it can find my printer, so I can print directly from the device, which is a very nice thing. Overall, very powerful note-taking features, functionalities, but they're not 100% complete. There are some things that are missing, such as exporting of the recorded audio capabilities, maybe export each section between, like, do you want to export different audio file between each of the tags that was there so that you can organize things a little bit differently. I hope that we see some improvements and tightening up of the note-taking ecosystem in future updates. All right, and here are the exports from the notebook. So 3 different formats. I wasn't actually able to get the document out. So PDF looks like this. So let's hide all of this and keep it kind of straightforward. Well, that's okay. So let's just hit to page level. This is not vectorized. Nope. And that means that when we zoom in, we will have anti-aliasing. Of course, you gotta zoom in a lot, but even at this level, you can see quite a lot of pixelization. So while it's perfectly fine that maybe the default option is this kind of baked in method, I would have preferred to at least have seen an option to export with the vectors as well. So let's see PNGs. PNG size is 610 kilobytes per page, and result looks pretty much exactly the same, except that we have a bit less anti-aliasing. So you get a little bit more anti-aliasing, definitely. You actually definitely get a lot more anti-aliasing in the PDF. So this is the PNG, this is the PDF. Let's move it up. So PNG, PDF, definitely a little bit softer than the PNG. Yeah, you can definitely see it there. Then we have the text file, which is just a translation, handwriting to text, kind of dumped all in. The problem is that formatting is off. I would have preferred if it would try and kind of not give me new lines where we have a new line in the notebook itself. Also, it doesn't detect any paragraphs or anything like that, and these things, it would be nice to actually see these things a little bit more improved. So technically speaking, yes, these things function, but they are not that great. And here I attempted to share one of the documents that I was annotating, but I found the share option to be grayed out, and I assume that it has to do with the Huawei share thing. It's actually really difficult for me to figure out how can I just export my PDF document with the annotated PDFs, because there was a lot of things kind of annotated and all scribbled around this page, and then I just found that file and shared it via email with me, and nothing is there. So I really don't know. I have to try and figure this out a little bit more, but at the moment, sharing of annotated documents outside of the Huawei ecosystem is, if at all possible, then it's very convoluted and not intuitive, and that's a big negative point.